Hello friends, I'm Kayla, your Cassidy, Delilah, Emily, Georgia, and this is my, what month just ended? May. This is my May wrap up. If I listed your name, you have to subscribe, and that's the law. I read books. How many? 15. And not in one of those, oh, I was reading other things secretly behind the scenes. Like, I read 15 books. I think that's the least I've read this year. Maybe I also read 15 in March, but it was because I was secretly filming other things. It was just kind of a chill. I know 15 is not chill for a lot of people, but for me, 15 was just a chill reading month. I posted a couple vlogs, and I'm going to tell you all of my ratings for the books that I read within those, but I'm not going to review them because I would just be saying the same things I said in the vlogs. But there are 4 books here that I haven't talked to you about in this capacity. You might notice that I put Bat Eater in my stack. I don't know why you would notice, but maybe you did, or on Instagram, because I was sure I was gonna finish this when I took that photo. And I'm actually gonna read it today instead. So while you're watching this, I'm reading this and I'm updating all of my thoughts on Fable, and the live show is next weekend. Look at my ratings. My ratings this month were so weird. I had a couple 5 stars, which is incredible because they've been few and far between this year. I had only 1 4-star and so many 3 stars. This was my month of fantasy. I was really exploring fantasy in a couple different ways, and most of it was just okay. 2 2 stars, so that's fine. This stat also, 14 new to me authors and only 1 author that I've read from before. Does that contribute to everything being 3 stars? Maybe, but also my 5 stars were from authors I've never read before. So like, it's still worth it to do. I bought 6 books and read them. I got 6 books from the library and read those. 2 on my TBR, 1 was sent to me. And then I also have some little survey questions after I go through all of the books. I did a dragon vlog where I tried out a bunch of dragon books. I ended up completing 5 of them, and most of them were just okay. So Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame by Neon Yang. This was a 3.75, so pretty high. In my post of like the covers, just for like a cutesy Instagram story, I have to put a couple of my 3.75s in the top category because that's the highest. Technically this is a favorite of the month, even though it was a 3.75. A 3.75 also went to Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucier. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that one. I gave 3 stars to A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I gave 3 stars to A Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. And I gave 2.5 stars to The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi. I also posted a video for my buzzword reading vlog. I started a reading challenge, and every month you have to read something on the cover. This month it was eyeballs, and you have to read something in the title. This month was the word to. So I read The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton, 5 stars. 5 stars. I'm so happy about it. I love this, and I gushed about it plenty in the reading vlog. So link down below, check it out. I have nothing else to say. It's perfection. And then I also vlogged. It's funny because thinking of this now, I don't think I could tell you a single plot of one of these books. I have one of these stories in this book. This is Of the Flash, 18 Stories of Modern Horror. Not a single one of them has stuck in my mind. And I read all of them and vlogged all of them. Like, I talked about what they were about, and I can't remember a single one of them. Needless to say, this was a 3 because like every single story was a 3, except for 1 or 2. There were a little below or a little above. Nothing stood out to me here, but the cover is phenomenal. The other reading vlog I posted was trying magic books recommended by Reddit. This was a spin-off vlog from like 10 months ago, and I read some popular things like A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, and I gave it 3 stars. A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsky, really wanted to love, gave it 3 stars. A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft, 3 stars. And The Magicians by Lev Grossman, this was below 3 stars, right? For sure. What was it exactly? A 2.5. So there you go. Now on to the 4 things that weren't specifically for vlogs. I have talked about them briefly in places. Like, I talked about this really quickly in the buzzword vlog because I buddy read it with my mom. If you know what this is, That's really concerning. And then these two, I've been doing TikTok updates where I check in every week about what I read, just a really brief kind of overview of how I felt about things. But I haven't talked about this at all. So this was my members TBR jar pick of the month. I have a members TBR jar. I have channel members. They're so great. And they submit books into the jar and I pick one out every single month to read. This is a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine, and it is sci-fi. I definitely get why someone would think I would love this, but it was another one that was just a 3. I had a good time, I think, in the first half. And then the second half, I was just kind of ready for it to be over, which is not like the best feeling. This is following, oh God, I'm gonna butcher this explanation. This is following an ambassador from a space mining colony who's going to this larger area, an empire, if you will, and you will, because that's what it's called. She has this really interesting mind memory kind of concept. It reminded me of I'm sure there are so many things like it that I haven't read, but it reminded me of reading Leech by Huron Ennis, which is like these doctors in this science fiction weird setting who have a hive mind and they share like a knowledge base. So anything that anyone else has experienced, they also have that knowledge. This is kind of like that, like people share memories, but it's because they have a specific like what was it, chip or whatever that is implanted, and they have a predecessor, that was a weird way to pronounce that, who passes down their knowledge like to them, but also they remain in the mind, so they're kind of sharing a mind or sharing a body. But what I thought was really interesting, I just knew that going in, and then as I was reading, I was like, oh, how fascinating that that's not actually like the that's not what everybody knows. Like this is more of a secret thing, and I thought that was really fascinating. So she goes to the Empire and her predecessor has been murdered and she doesn't fully have all the memory she's supposed to. They haven't fully had the chance to like mind meld. So she's trying to solve this crime, but she has a limited she has limited knowledge. She has basically an outdated database, and she has to choose kind of who to let in on the fact that she is sharing them, because the guy before her had a relationship with various people and some of them like know that she is supposed to be him and they're supposed to share something, but some people don't know that, and so she has to choose like who to let in on that fact and when, and she has to be really strategic about who can know this like mind melding thing is a thing. It's not just known by everybody and exists for everybody. Anyway, so she arrives and it's this murder mystery because she's solving this thing, but it's also like a really political sci-fi where the Empire is something that Mahit, our main character, is discussing a lot about like the allure of the Empire and the darkness and the like dark history of the Empire. She has a couple things to accomplish while she's there, like not allowing her station to be colonized, and she ends up meeting as soon as she gets there with this liaison, and they begin this relationship. It's definitely not a romance, but there is this like really interesting dynamic between them that you get to explore. It's a lot like softer than I thought it would be. It feels cozier. It feels more like Becky Chambers sci-fi than like Dune sci-fi, even though it has all of the same political kind of vibes. So it was a lot more accessible than I thought it would be. I wasn't the most interested in the plot. It started out being really interesting and her thinking like, am I also in danger? Like who killed this person? How can I connect with him? How do I connect with all these other people? Am I also in trouble? Is someone going to be after me because I am in the same position as him? And then, I don't know, I was probably not paying the most attention for the second half, to be honest. I really appreciate the recommendation, and I'm glad that I read something I probably might never have read. Let's move on to a very different tone. This is Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. So Lights Out, I will say, I've talked about this in regards to like, I don't like a lot of erotic books. I read them because I think they're fun. I think they make for funny content. I've never, maybe there's been one. I feel like there's been one out there that I've given like a 4 or higher. I can't think of what it is, but I know it exists. So I don't want to say I've never liked an erotic book. But this one is not like because it wasn't cringy like all the other ones. It's in spite of that. So if you want to take this as a recommendation, I'm not saying it because it like doesn't have all of the uncomfortable stuff that I've felt about other erotic books. It's just that it's also so funny and stupid, and I felt like the author was letting me in on that. And I can't explain why I don't feel that way about other books, but there are so many other ones that I feel like are taking themselves seriously. And this one, there was just something about the quality that makes me think Nevessa Allen is in on this with me. She's not trying to make this like titillating. I think it's supposed to be hilarious and ridiculous. And I'm sure a lot of other ones are too. But this one, I just feel like I was with her. I was on board. For the first third, I wasn't. For the first third, I was like, this is just another one that is making me so uncomfortable. It's just so cringy. Like, we have a character, why can't I remember their names? Okay, we have Allie and Josh. Of course, his name is Josh. Josh is making like sexual adjacent TikToks. Like, it's all things that would be acceptable on TikTok, but they're very like sultry and like weirdly, he's wearing a mask and he's like a little, I don't know, BDSM-y. The shower is now on. I hope the sound of that is not annoying. And we have a very thirsty like nurse named Allie who is commenting on the TikToks. I almost died of secondhand embarrassment of her comments she was leaving on his TikToks. It's enough that he's making them, but her interacting with him as this stranger online, oh my God, I wanted to die. Okay, but then he starts stalking her because clearly she's into the masked man on the internet thing. She acts like she wants someone to come in her home and behave this way and take her against her will and like look at her when she doesn't know it. And so he's like, bet. And so he shows up and yeah, she's into it. So that's that. And then what else happens? Yeah, just a lot of sex, but also there is a plot, promise. There's like a dangerous element to this. Can I say there's a death? There's a death that occurs, and it just makes the book so fun. Now that sentence may not sound like it makes any sense, but it does. It makes the book even goofier. It goes off on this little almost adventure side plot, and these two connect in a way that you wouldn't think is how this is gonna work out. She is exhausted by her job. She needs an outlet. She needs to have this like fantasy life. And he fulfills that for her. And he has a terrible father. And he is so sure because he has these thoughts of harming people or doing, you know, like borderline dangerous things in the bedroom. He thinks he's a bad person. And if he actually goes forward with these kinks, that he could kill someone. Like, he thinks that he could be that person. And he learns that he's not. He's actually a good person. And he just needs somebody who shares this, you know, vibe. I have to stop talking about this book. Highly recommend the audiobook. It made it so funny. And I really had a great time. I wasn't at the beginning and I was cringed out and I remained that way, but also it was fun. Not a 5, a 4, a really solid 4. And genuinely, you guys, like when I read this and a couple people were commenting, they were like, okay, Kayla finally found an erotic book she likes. Now we're gonna go off on this like erotic journey or whatever. I think I got it out of my system. I think I'm good. Like, I found something in the realm that people always tell me, like, don't take it too seriously and you'll love it and you'll have so much fun. It was fun. It was fun and it was stupid and I don't want it anymore. I'm good, thank you so much. Okay, this book was sent to me by Orbit, and then I also listened to the audiobook a little bit as an ALC from Libro FM, so thank you so much to everybody who provided this for me. It's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I was sure, for some reason, this was gonna be a 5-star book. I even had it planned for a vlog where I was reading like 5-star predictions, or actually I was gonna do like a 5-star prediction, a 4-star, a 3-star, a 2-star, and a 1-star, all in one video. So I started reading this and I was vlogging it a little bit, and then it just wasn't the most interesting. So I ended up giving it a 3, and I'm never gonna think about it again. This is a story of this girl named Sybil, and she is one of these, what are they called, diviners. And honestly, the world building doesn't matter that much because it becomes so much more about the romance. I said in my TikTok that the plot and the world building is just kind of a vehicle to get us to the romance in this relationship, which I totally get for romantasy. There was some quality about One Dark Window, even though I gave it like a 2.75 or something, that made me think Rachel Gailey could be the one for me. And I'll say her writing, I like. Her relationship, I love. Like, I actually really like their dynamic. And then once I got to the end of it, I was like, hold on, this was nothing. This really wasn't anything. It just like existed in front of me. And everything in it was really a million things that have been read, not I've read before, but have been done before, and quite a few things I have read before. And it's just that really classic, like, main character who doesn't really have much of a personality, but because we meet a love interest who's so enamored by her and so obsessed with her that we start to think she has a personality, she doesn't. She has these like visions along with these other, these are 6 of them, these diviner girls, and they can connect with this thing, they get visions, they can tell the future, and they all start to disappear one by one very quickly, with very little, I don't know, impact, I feel. And there's this knight that arrives pretty early on in the book, who doesn't like the diviners, is kind of like against them, but also he's kind of obsessed with her, and he's like, I'll do anything for you, pretty early on, it feels like. And the beginning, like, quarter, the only note that I took was, it's crazy how many times the same scene has happened, where she's like doing something random and then someone will sneak up on her and she goes, oh, it's Rory. Oh, I saw Rory again. I can't believe it was Rory who showed up there. They have a little interaction, then he leaves. And then she's in her room alone and she hears a creak behind her. She's like, oh, who is it? It's Rory. Rory's here. Oh, he's so handsome, but I can't stand him. They have a little interaction and he leaves. And then like around every corner, he's just there. And that's the only thing that really happens at the beginning of this book. They're just constantly like seeing each other. And it's like, okay, but I liked their relationship. I don't know what it was about it, but I liked their little banter they had. I'm an enemies to lovers girl. I think they got over their enemies vibe way too early, but there was still something about it that definitely is the reason I continued reading, because I liked their back and forth. But at this point, I can't tell you what the actual plot was. Beyond the girls disappearing and her having to like solve it, I don't even remember how they solved it. Like I did not feel impacted by what was actually happening in the story. So unfortunately, by the time I ended, I was like, I guess it was like a 3. Even though I felt like I was having a good time, there was nothing I really loved about it in general. And this was the worst review ever. Don't send me early copies because I don't do a good job of explaining them. So sorry. Let's move on to a 5-star though. Ah, I got another 5-star. It's Feast When You Can by Michaela Clemens and Anjali Data. This is so interesting because I think I picked this up with no influence by anybody else. It was just one of those ones I saw in the bookstore one day. And then I saw it like 3 times that week. Maybe I picked it up on release week by accident. People reviewed it on my Instagram and they all gave it like 2 or 3 stars. They were like, this is a fine horror book, but like don't go out of your way to make sure you read it right away. And I was like, oh, okay. So then it sat on my TBR shelf for a while. And one day after all of these magical things, I was like, I need a horror so bad. So I picked this up and it was everything that I needed, but I really want to pitch this one correctly because if you take my horror recommendations, I want you to know what you're in for with this. So there's like I'm going to put it in a hierarchy of the focus of this book. The number 1 focus of this book is a relationship. It's a sapphic, I don't know if I'd call it romance. I guess it's a love story. No, I don't know what it is, but there is this relationship between these 2 women at the focus. That is the focus. The horrors are 3rd tier. The 2nd tier is like the setting, the small town vibes, this family who believes there's a curse on them, and there's also this difficulty in the town. One of these women, it's a very white town, and one of our women, Jagvi, is having a difficult time with the town accepting her. Our other main character is Angelina. And for multiple reasons, they shouldn't be together. And I just want to say, I love mess. So if you don't love mess, this is not the one for you. But I love messy relationship dynamics. One of them used to date someone, and you know, there's like reasons that they shouldn't be together. The relationship dynamics really take the focus. There's on-page sex in here. And then as far as the the town dynamic and the family dynamic, I don't say this lightly, it gave Raven Cycle vibes. I don't say that often, but there was something about Angelina and her family, just knowing that there's like this curse that everybody knows about in the family. And when she brings it up one day, I'm not even telling you the plot of this book. She goes somewhere, she might be possessed. And her family immediately is like, oh yeah, like that's a thing. How do we help you? How do we fix this? Like, what is this? Like, let's talk about this curse. They're always talking about the curse. One girl like pulls out her tarot cards, and like, that's just the family vibes. And then also Raven Cycle, you know, that moment where Adam is not like fully in control, you know, of his own mind. That is what's happening to Angelina. She, like, something is in her body with her. And the audiobook I would recommend, but there is a chance you find it like more cheesy than scary. But there's this like voice, this like layered demon-esque kind of voice that comes into the audiobook, and I thought it was really effective and I loved it. But the horror scenes are definitely fewer, far between, or more so at the end. So it is this building of this relationship, this friendship, really, like they're connecting in certain ways, and they're kind of the only people who feel a certain way and can like really understand each other. It's also the kind of story, though, if you have to love the characters to love a book, this is not the one for you. If you have to understand the choices that they make and agree with the bad decisions they're making, this is not the book for you. Oh, I didn't even realize these authors were married. Oh my gosh, I literally have never actually looked. I liked it so much. I don't think it'll be for everybody, and you don't need to know the plot. Like, you just need to know how I explained it to you, and you will know if it's for you or not. Okay, then there's a couple superlatives that I like to go through. So best book that I read of the month is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. This is exactly what I needed. It had the perfect pacing, the perfect dynamic, historical, but banter between a couple people. It had a competition. It had fantastical birds. It had like minimal steam, but like steam in a way. So perfection. Best sequel, I think this is the first month this year that I haven't read a sequel, so no answer to that. Best audiobook, truly all of them. Like, I had a good time with the audiobooks. This one was really good. I just love getting the accents, you know, in a historical English setting. I already told you I liked the audiobook of this one. I liked the audiobook of this one. And then I think it's actually the narrator who really let me in on this story. It was written in third person, but I still just felt like I was really listening to the main character tell me the story. An author I want to read more from. Well, I just said I need to read more from this author duo because I didn't know they had written anything else. And then India Holton is definitely on my list. There is this book series, I forget what it's called, but it's been recommended to me multiple times. I have it on like a mental TBR list, and then I realized that it's the same author as this. So now I'm even more excited to get into that series. Biggest surprise, I mean, it's got to be Lights Out, because I went into it thinking that this is going to be like a 2.5, because they're all, that's how, especially how it started. It's like, there's no way I'm going to actually have fun with this one, but I did. Biggest disappointment, I think, was the Baby Dragon Cafe, just because I love a cozy fantasy, and it just wasn't like written well enough. Sorry, that's like awful. Another disappointment was The Night and the Moth, just because for some reason I convinced myself this was going to be like my romantasy of the year. I don't know why. A book I'm going to recommend the most, I guess, if you love Emily Wilde and Veronica Speedwell, my #1 recommendation for everyone is going to be The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. But I also think I'm going to recommend, of the Reddit like fantasy school kind of video that I did, A Deadly Education is the one I think is the most objectively good. Just wasn't for me, so I'm sure I will go on to recommend that one. Most beautiful, I've said so many times that like black and gold just really gets me, so this one is my favorite like color scheme. Also, A Memory Called Empire is a similar color scheme, but I don't love that one as much. I do love the gold. Actually, you know what? Every single book I read, so beautiful. I love the color scheme of this. I love the color scheme of this. The art style and the detail of Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame though, like this is so absolutely stunning. These women on here, love that. Favorite character, not to be repetitive, but Beth and Devin as a couple, they are for me. Other favorite, I did really like reading Lady Trent in here. Like I didn't love this book, I gave it a 3, but again, it's that historical like scholar main character, and she's been on all of these adventures and journeys, and you're hearing from her as an older woman, and the entire series is her like reflecting on all of the escapades of her youth. And I think she's a really fun character to be reading about. And that's all the questions that I have. If you have any superlatives you want me to add, I'll definitely do that next month. I will see you in a couple days with something else, maybe my summer TBR. That's exciting. So if you want to add to the besties TBR jar, if you want to join, the link is down below. I'm printing out everything in the next couple days, and then I'll be pulling June, July, and August. I hope they're good. Okay, bye.